welcome, Jacob. Uh, Give me about 2 or 3 minutes to see if anybody else shows up, and then you can start asking questions. Assuming you can hear me. I assume you can. Good. Yep. We'll just wait a few minutes. Sometimes a bunch of people show up. Sometimes only 3 or 4 show up. But I always give it a few minutes before we go. Look to see those Delta, Spy, Apple, Nvidia. Yep. We'll get there. All right. It's 7:02, so anybody that comes in late is just going to have to miss out on the first few minutes and go back and rewatch if it covers something we wanted. Jacob, you had a question, so go ahead and throw it out there. And Delaney, we'll get to Spy, Apple, Nvidia as well. Hey JJ, I'm glad that you try to watch the video every morning. Hopefully it's helpful. Soothing sounds of the aquarium. It's way quieter. I spent a couple $100 on bigger filters this weekend, so I don't have to clean it as often. What's the meaning of life, Ryan? Usually just ignoring your questions in particular when people are watching, but secretly not. Oh, for the stock AI, okay. I've noticed how betas affect how easily the 10% stop can be hit. Have you looked into adjusting the share amount relative to beta? That is actually a dev question, Jacob. I'm the Twitter guy, the live stream guy, and the guy that keeps the Discord popping. So we can pass that one along, but that is definitely for the dev/owner. Okay, let's see here. So we're going to move in. Delaney was the next to ask. I am not ignoring you, Shooter. We'll go to you next. So we're going to look at the SPY deltas real quick. I was looking up oil. So all this stuff's on Twitter, and here's what's crazy. We're gapping up right now in futures. That means nothing, obviously, by the way, right? That could all change overnight. But if we're looking here, as we slowly started to decrease a little bit by little bit, now we've got a big decrease after a drawdown again on Friday. So if we just back test this here and take a look, this drawdown is starting to look real good. Okay, and we're doing well right now. Let's just go check ES. That's a heck of a gap up, you know. That's a really big gap up for now, so that's pretty crazy. What were the other ones we want to look at? Apple. I put that on Twitter this weekend. It's the same, by the way. Nice drawdown for things on Friday. So if you look here, Apple was really kind of up and down this week. Tiny green bar, tiny red bar. God, they're so hard to see. But then Friday, excuse me, after close, it started to get this downwards momentum in the deltas, which the back test shows we get a pretty good percent increase. So that's looking good as well. You know, the price distributions on some of these, our 1 day shows a little bit of an improvement. They're a little different on them as well. You know, I really like to see a price distribution that shows me we're going to hit within the next 5 sessions or so. So if we look, it's pretty mixed. So traders still aren't quite sure with that. So I assume if we go out 10 days, it's showing we do a lot more. My gosh. It's only a 19.51% chance, but that'd be a pretty big rip. All right, NVIDIA was the next one. Y'all are very quiet tonight. No questions. So look at this one on NVIDIA. My gosh, way down there. Back test shows fantastic percentage, so it's already ripping. But as you can see, I mean, the build up here was almost saying for a while as it continued to rip up, short, and it continued to melt upwards. So it could very well pull back and then continue doing the same thing. As you can see, its price correlations still show for 1 day at least. Let's see what it looks like at the end of the week. So end of the week, it's showing a little bit maybe more of a drop. 2 weeks in, well, that would be ridiculous. 25% chance of a 9.9 to 14% chance move. So let's watch that change throughout the week and see what happens. Okay, Shooter. So you want to elaborate some more? Like, are you asking what it is that I watch all day long to scalp? Okay. So let's just take a look. So the first thing I watch is MNF. Now, when you get an MNF that starts to look like this, where things are a little okay, I got you, Shooter. I was just making sure. MNF is my go-to for the daily, and then my secondary thing is the GEX levels and dark pool levels. Okay, so when it comes to that, what I'm really looking for is if we have a bearish MNF, even if it's a little tight, you know what I mean? And what I would prefer is to see this here. If let's just say we're bearish, I want to see this up here, and I want to see the green line down here, right? That's where you get into your day trader mentality of where you can kind of buy and hold a little bit for a little bit longer. Obviously, I don't really play ODTEs very often, so I can feel comfortable moving along throughout the day if we're real heavy in one direction and holding a little bit longer, because I usually buy a week to a month's time depending on just how I'm feeling that day. And that's just a screen time thing. So let's say we have a bearish MNF here. My job, Shooter, is going to be every single time we reject a level, right? I'm going to look to short that level. So Friday, I mean, was kind of wild. We hit here, we opened, right? We opened low, and then we initially rejected this level here, and then continued on down throughout the day. If you look, MNF wasn't all the way. Didn't diverge bearish wise until a little bit later in the day, until it had made some time down. So I hadn't actually played that yet. I didn't actually overnight any puts either. What I did do is go against it on Friday at close after we had bottomed here and bought calls going into the next week. So if ES continues to have a good night and opens that way, then I'll be pretty happy come the morning. Opposite of that, let's say shooter that it is a very bullish MNF. We have calls way over puts. Puts are way down here. What I'm looking to do is enter on bounces on these levels. Okay, so I don't ever want to. I'm not a breakout trader at all. Period. I use one very simple indicator, and that is RSI. And when the RSI is high is when I look to short on bearish days, and when the RSI is low, that's when I look to long on bullish days. Is that helpful? I look for bounces and rejections. I never play breakouts and breakdowns. That is a dangerous way to trade, and it can work. It really can work if you're in a multi-day leg of something. Like if you longed NVIDIA 2 weeks ago, you're doing very well. But why would you start to long it right now without a pullback and just go straight in? Okay, Jacob, that's a really good question. Once the market becomes less volatile and becomes a bull market, how do I navigate that type of market? Well, I'd like to start by saying that before we had this, where did I put that? Before we had these dealer Greek back tests, I really just drew out these GEX levels that we see on the chart. GEX-ish levels. I draw mine a little differently. There's some videos out there on my YouTube. I usually cover it in the first 15 minutes or so, but I draw these levels around where GEX are, where there's points of contention and price. But really what I'm looking for is a longer time frame bounce for something on the bull side, Jacob. And then you buy and hold, man. You buy close. I mean, I buy at that point. I buy and during a bull market close to the money and a few weeks out and let it ride. I mean, it really comes down to once we hit a real bull market, which probably won't happen for another year or so. I think we'll go in waves for a little bit. But once we do hit that, that is when I will start to look for things that have not recovered yet and just start longing them. Sometimes not even an option. Sometimes I might just buy commons if I like the stock and it pays a dividend. Let's see here. Are there other tools as well for day trading besides levels and MNF? Well, there's Bullseye, and it's a little... Oh, wait, hold on. Let me answer... Somebody had a question in between there. What's my setup for live options flow? I skip SPY flow completely, Shooter. It can be confusing. I leave it alone. So when it comes to my live options flow, I look for bot, sweeps, above ask, OTM, short expiry, non-ETF, and then I remove Tesla, and sometimes I'll remove some of the other crazy ones to see what's going on. SPY flow is so confusing, Shooter. I hope that answers your question, Mnemonic. I think that's how. Mnemonic virus? Mnemonic? I don't know what you're saying there. Mnemonic. You're a virus as well. That's great. I don't like to look at SPYs. My thoughts on the DMD looks bullish, right? No. We'll look at it in a second, but not necessarily, Hari. Okay, SPY flow. So no, really, let's just say we want to go look at our SPY flow here. Right? Sometimes it plays out swimmingly, and sometimes it doesn't. And it even says real big here, if we're looking at its flow, get rid of it. You can, yeah, I know what dealer market diary is, Harry. I was just saying I don't think it necessarily looks bullish. Let's do a refresh to make sure we pull the next one. So this was for Fridays, okay? This was for Fridays. So tomorrow this disappears and we go into this one. So that is not bullish. That's just normal. There's nothing there really of note, Hari. Shooter's got a lot of questions. Okay, so anyways, going back to your day trading besides levels and MNF. Bullseye is good if you want to go directional. Let me pull it up. I don't use it as often. But if you go with direction of market net flow, Shooter, that can help you find a couple of trades. Hey, you're welcome, Hari. Sorry, that Friday one at close always gets people thinking, oh my gosh, Monday is going to be crazy. And then when Monday comes, it disappears. And they're like, what happened to DMD? So direction of market net flow can be a little bit helpful when it comes to that shooter. And then, my goodness, let's just talk about Trady flow real quick. I don't know if I have it open or not. I don't. Now I've got my 7,000th tab open, but let's take a look. Trady flow orders, I start paying attention at over 10. Okay, I start paying attention at over 10. So this docu one's huge right here. And then the bigger they get, the more I'm paying attention. And I can just give you a real quick. So Oxy had 17 orders for 55. So it's looking like it might still be a short. And if we come over here and we look, let me go back. You click on the plus sign all the way to the right of it. You can check the position. This person has only bought. Okay, this person has only bought that premium so far. So this person is still full position of thinking that Oxy, now that's all the way up to 2025, so that's obviously an outrageously expensive con. Let's see here. Let's go to 10 plus just to see what we're looking. Docu's a big one. This person put a bunch of money in. I'm going to guess they sold some. Their target strike is $11 down from where they are. They are still mostly in their position. Does that help? So even as a day trader shooter, when you see those huge trading flows come through, if you buy, sometimes I buy them a little differently, to be honest. I may have grabbed this docu a little bit before August. A little bit before August to see what would happen after drawing out its levels, to see if I could short it from a rejection spot of a dark pool or a Gex level around there. Sizapa, did I say that right? That's not an indicator. These are my drawn levels that I pull from Trady ticks. These are the ones that I draw. Raise your hand if you're somewhat new. Yeah. Okay. So if this is one of your first nights, so maybe we can go over the drawing of the levels. Yeah, that's what I was saying, Sing. It's sometimes it's a little bit better to wait for, if it's a short. I like to wait to get a rejection. Let it go up a little bit. If it's a long, maybe look to where it could go down a little bit before I go into the long. I just don't want to immediately slap something because somebody bought a bunch of it. That's for sure. I want to be patient and time my entry still. These things, the higher they go in order flow, you get up to the 25 plus, they have a really high consistency rate, I think like 80-90%. But even with that win, I'm not looking necessarily to. I want to capitalize more of it, and if I miss it and it just does what it was supposed to do immediately, then just too bad for me, is what that comes down to. Okay. So Suzapa, that is how I use, or this is literally how I get my levels every day, and I'll show you. There's a couple ways. Some people copy. Okay, I draw mine directly. So let me show you what I do. So you can see my screen right here. I've gone to the SPY daily. All right, I've clicked Greek levels. I've clicked all. So I'm going to go to my draw tool here. I'm going to go to my horizontal line. And I'm going to look at this and see where price has reacted most. So if you kind of look left a little bit, we had a wick off of here, almost a wick off of here, a wick off of here where I've drawn this line, right? A rejection there, almost over, blah, blah, blah. We've been close. Gaspar, I don't use Charm and IV. at all for my trades. So the bottom of that line is 40256 roughly. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to come onto my chart, and I want to look, and I want to see where price. That's a bad example because I have to go to the daily look to get there. Let's go one a little lower. Let's say right here, price has had a lot of motion right there. So I'm gonna get my text tool right underneath 397.49. So let's go back and let's look at 397.49. As we draw that, we can see that there's roughly one right around here. So that would probably be 398. Really, is where it would be if we brought it over. Okay, but what we want to do is we want to go over and see if there's been any price around 397.49, roughly, and where it's reacted. And look right there. If we look and draw a level right here, we can see how price has maneuvered around that almost exact spot. Okay. Oh yeah, you missed that part, Trade Alert. No big deal. Sorry to not have the answer to that question, Gasper. I just don't really mess with Charm and IV that much when it comes down to it. I'm a very, very simple trader. I use every bit of data that Trady gives us, but when it comes down to it, I'm really looking for the simplest of trades without adding complexity, which is why I spend so much of my time teaching every day about how to use this platform and run these streams, because new traders can get overwhelmed with the amount of information, just if they're looking at candles period, not even trying to navigate a platform. So I try to keep it as simple as possible. Yes, Suzapa, I update them every single day by using the Discord bot, which is TR-DP levels space spy, and I update from that exactly. And every morning I just move them around and change the amount of the dark pool. By the way, if you are a Trady subscriber and you're in our Discord, this chart is live all day long for subscribers. Every morning I update it. Every afternoon I update it just a little bit more if there's new levels that pop up, and then it runs live all day long. Yeah, Shooter, I haven't been messing with it much. We talked about this, I think, a little bit last week, and one of the things we discussed was the extremes. The extremes seem to be okay if you are opposing them, almost as if I think Chetta and I talked about it a lot last week. If you're in our Discord, Chetta Freeze is in there always talking and doing stuff, but it feels like some hedging dynamics might be happening at extremes. And so what I've been doing a little bit is if I see this big put here and we're bottomed out and near a level, this is a spot that I'll be contrarian and go long. To be honest, I'll go against the market flow for a quick scalp there. And the same thing here. Look at all these calls being bought up top. All these calls. Abid, it's in the MNF channel, the MNF trades channel in the pins. Click the little pin at the top, and there's a live link to my trading view chart in there that I update every day. So anyways, going back to that, Shooter, these extremes almost always seem a little bit wrong unless they make sense. Time frame was daily, Vicky. So here, calls seems like a really dumb idea. We're tapping a level at this point. Our RSI is high. There's a lot of things that point towards a short. So here is a fade. This one makes sense. We're on another run up. The color scheme is just colors that I chose, Suzapa. Purple is dark pool, and gray or silver are Gex levels. Pink or whatever color are where we have a dark pool and another gamma level nearby. Yes, Vicky. So I use the daily to pull the SPY chart. Let's see. Shooter. So as we just talked about, I recommend using it if you're paying attention to what you're doing and you kind of think what you're use your head, right? Use your head, because there's always hedging dynamics happening live as things go on. So we're never going to be positive of what they're thinking. But I can tell you right now, I'm not hammering calls at the top of a range, ever, ever, ever. That's breakout trading, and that's how I lose. That's a lower probability trade. Welcome back, Suzafa, after being gone for a month. Glad you're back. Let's see here. What else do we have? Sing answered questions or helped out. Yep. Thank you, Sing. Always like when you guys are helping each other in chat. Abid, we answered your question. Greek's correlation on what negative and positive numbers mean. Well, I think is this what you're talking about, Gasper? Sing. So, yep, there's videos out there, I think, on the Trady Ticks channel. Oh, there's one about MNF that talks about how I long at support and I short at resistance, and that's how I trade off of them. Sing, I'm going to have to answer that question after watching. Okay, there we go. Never mind. This is the number you're talking about. Yes, I do believe positive means a further push one direction towards the price distribution, and negative means further push towards the price distribution that way, if that makes sense. So, like, I think if we look at Apple. Sing, if you hop in the I don't know if you're in the Discord with us or not, but if you hop in the channel, we kind of talk about it live throughout the day. There's a really solid group of traders in there throughout the day, and everybody kind of talks about levels that are approaching and what they're thinking. Obviously, we don't give out live trades, difficult to do in a server with like 20,000 people, but we're always discussing what we're thinking and what we're contemplating doing at certain levels, if that helps, Sing. I'd really recommend joining. So here you go. I can't wait to read your question out loud, Suzapa. So here you go, Garcia. If you're looking, right, this is positive, this is positive. So, and our Greeks point out the same way that we're looking at positive. And then we'll pull up NVIDIA again. And that is one of those things, Suzapa, that is just an anomaly in the world. But I'm going to read your question out loud so people can laugh when they rewatch this video later on, because it's pretty hilariously worded. I'd like to understand NVIDIA options Greeks. We had repeatedly positive dealer Greeks, yet it was running like a whore. How do you manage these trades and don't do the revenge trading? So stop losses, Suzapa. I keep a 20% stop on anything that I'm playing. Every time. And then I draw out levels. And here's an important thing. So let's just look at NVIDIA, and then I'll answer your question, Trade Alert. Let's just look at NVIDIA really quick. If I think I need to be a maniac and I just really want to short the hell out of this, oh my god, that is the largest amount of Greek levels I've ever seen. I'm not drawing this, by the way. That will take till next Sunday to draw. If I really want to short this, I would attempt to short at levels above with high RSI, Suzapa. I mean, really, that's what I would do, but probably when something's just running like this, especially when we keep seeing this repeated flow the opposite direction of it, right? Every day the flow is NVIDIA calls, Google calls, Amazon calls, AMD calls. They've been being hammered nonstop for a week and a half now. And so when I see that much flow going in that direction, I just say, no, thank you. I don't want to short this. What else do I consider trade alerts? So one of the big ones would be for a day trade, truly, for a day trade, all I'm looking for is bounces and rejections. I want high RSI, right? You can see my RSI down here, right? I want this RSI high. If you can see it, it's pinned fairly well there. Not great, but I want it as high as possible, and I want to play a reject for a short. And when I'm looking to long, I look at the MNF and at market net flow, and I say, okay, calls are starting to pick up, or even calls are a little bit stagnant right now, and I can show you what I mean. When we get into these areas of gray, these are great contrarian moves potentially. Okay, so look, we're just sitting in this gray area. Price was resting on a level. If you just look left, or you drew a line, and we got a nice little run up, right? So this is fading MNF right here, but I might take this position anyways if it's got the low RSI and it's resting on a level. Abid, the channel is the MNF channel. Market, the MNF trades is what it's called. Can anybody link it? Anybody in here in the Discord can slap the link to it for anybody that's a subscriber and wants to be in the channel. Let's see. So there's your question, trade alert. Nagoshi, what tool do you use for weekly or bias the most? It's always going to be my biggest one that I'm looking for now are these Greeks. So far, I have been able to say I am going to start slowly building long/short whatever position you're talking about. Long/short whatever position that it's showing on the screen here. I have been able to safely say buy up to a month out and slowly kind of scale in and come out profitable following these Greeks. Now, I will say, I also use my stop losses religiously. So if I am wrong, if I am early, I will revisit that trade later on and see if they will change. I don't know when the light version will be available. You're very welcome for the answers, but that is my fish tank, and it is very soothing. Keeps me from killing people in my actual day job. I come here and stare at it and listen to it run and calm myself down. You're welcome, Shooter. Welcome all of you. This is fun. This was fun for all of us, hopefully. So marking levels before entering the trade. So I've given you that trading alert. I do not know when the new version is going to be available. Suzapa. So to answer the repeated calls every day, if you're in our Discord, what's the name of the channel? Let me look real quick to give you the right answer. Golden Sweeps. Let me just read off to you. So there was 1.52 million right before close for Apple 170s on Friday. Apple 155s had 1.9 million. Microsoft, those were short dated. They got hosed actually. So those were some 317s. Here's NVIDIA 260s that were getting hammered last week. NVIDIA 240s and NVIDIA 262.5s. So these golden sweeps are ridiculous. This one was 4 million for sweeps, so that's kind of crazy. So when you're looking through these golden sweeps, when you see those getting hammered that way, you start to think to yourself, why would I be shorting this? So AMD, another 2.15 million for 70 strikes. Amazon 106s. It's just crazy. Somebody really likes American or United Airlines. UAL got hit, but it's all the way into 2024. So, and I don't play tickers like that usually, anyhow. So Do you use 20% stop on options? Yep, that's on options, dog. It really is. If I take a 20% drawdown on an entry, that means I did not follow one of my rules probably properly, or I was dead wrong. One of the two things. So really, I only scalp maybe once a day, sometimes twice. I scalp once a day, regardless, just to always stay in practice. On a very heavy day, I may scalp 3 times, but a lot of my positions are built swings. Trade alert. So that's a very good question. Other than SPY, how to sort for other stocks for weekly option play? No real simple way to do that, I'm going to be honest. You have to kind of do a little bit of homework. And I will start with Trade alert. One of the first things I look for is I will look in Trady flow. Okay, I talked about that a little bit earlier. I will look in Trady flow if I'm looking to swing something. Let me go ahead and close those down. But I will look in Flash, and this is where I kind of start building a little bit of a position. So let's just say I'm looking in Flash, and there's a couple places that I'll look. So I go to optionable and algo flow divergences. Okay, and then Scanny is another big one that I use. I will go to optionable, and I will look for 2 different things: horizontal support or horizontal resistance. If I am looking for a short, okay, I will say, okay, horizontal resistance. What do I have that's within the area that I like to trade? Within the tickers I like to trade. You get into things that are worth $4 or $5, I just ignore them. Okay, so some of these I don't even know what the hell they are. I mean, I know they exist. I've seen them a million times as I've looked through flow. But here's an interesting one. So GE, okay, GE is at a horizontal resistance. So let's go look here then next. This is where your homework comes in. So let's take a look at GE. It's at resistance, and let's see what its back test says. So its back test currently shows that it's actually a long. So that's a scratch for me, Trade alert, right? Because there's some conflicting data there. This is saying it might be time for a long on it, and it's at a resistance, so it might break. Okay? I hope that makes sense as to how I do that. Intech. Okay, does that help, Trade alert, to kind of start piecing apart those things? And let's say we reverse that. Okay, we're looking for something at horizontal support, and we're just kind of looking around and saying what is at a support that might. It's a potential omen for bearish week Tesla theta, but it doesn't happen immediately. So let's see here, snow. Let's take a look at snow real quick, and then I'll answer your question. Dog, and then I'll answer your question, Tesla theta. What I'm looking for, Trade alert, is confluence between multiple data points that gives me more confidence in the play. So snow is slowly starting to build away. It's been going down, 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 down. Yeah, flash, and then Scanny. And then using Scanny to find support resistance, and then looking at the dealer Greeks is how I start building my positions. And here's something that I would recommend. And I said it a little bit earlier. In the Discord, we're all kind of always looking for these things, and people are posting them like, oh my God, look, I just saw Coin is saying it's going to rip within the next few weeks, maybe because of dealer Greeks. And it's also got, some other things going on the chart. And so, hey, they'll be like, I think I'm going to swing a little bit of Coin right now or whatever. This is kind of the thing, that team effort. It's good to work alone. It really is. But it's always also good to be around people who are all using the tools in conjunction with you to kind of look for things to do. Okay, dog. So this is a fun question. How much should we use to start building a position for a swing like you do? Say you have 10K to trade with. Should we start buying 1% a day of the position we want to build over the week? Well, difficult to answer that as I'm not a financial advisor. I can tell you exactly how I enter a swing. I keep every Friday at close, I draw my account back down to 10K. My main kind of account that I use. I draw it down to 10K every Friday. Okay. So when I enter a position, and here's the reason for 10K, and I don't want to sound like an a-hole. I can lose that every day for a while and be okay. If I full ported and lost 100% of it, I would not be mad at myself. Right now, I take 20% losses only, so I'm never going to do that. But whatever I make throughout the week, I withdraw every Friday at the bell anything over that excess. And so when I enter a position, I am willing to put about 25% of my particular port into a position, and I buy that in quarters, roughly, sometimes 10% at a time. So if I am looking to swing Apple calls to 160 all the way out a month, and I only have 2,500 to put into it, I'm going to look for as close as I can to that price, if that makes sense. For my swing, I'm going to look as close as I can to that price for whatever it's going to chunk out my 2,500 in quarters or tenths. Hopefully that's a helpful answer. Dave, the Discord channel is the MNF channel, Market Net Flow Trades channel. Okay, let's see here. Dealer Greek buildups for Tesla real quick. All right, let's get you in there, Tesla Theta. It's weird that you're asking about Tesla so often with that profile name. Tesla's shrinking. Tesla is shrinking. When Tesla gets below red, it starts to rip. So I personally will not short Tesla while it's in this little spot right here and it's shrinking. In fact, I'm personally going to wait for it to start getting below here and see if we get some rips. The call versus put OI screen on Tesla. Do you mean these dealer Greek buildups, Tesla Theta? Can I elaborate? Help me understand. Elaborate on these dealer Greeks. Backtest says dealer Greeks big green short Tesla proves the point right here. That big green bar we go down as they shrink and go towards the other direction. This to me looks like consolidation chop. And if it goes back below red, I'm going to look to long. If it goes back up again green, big up to here, along this line, I'm going to look to short again. What's shrinking is this delta line right here at the end. Right? You see how it was big green here as we went down, and now we've consolidated and stayed in price a little bit in this range as they've gotten smaller. Yeah. Let's see here. Have you found the Monte Carlo price simulations to be worthwhile, somewhat accurate? I don't use them, so Shazapa, good job on taking that trade. Dog, I hope that question is so hard to answer, a question about how people use their money, because everybody's different, plain and simple. Everybody thinks I swim around in some massive account, but the only really big account I have is my long-term account, and I don't trade in it. I only buy, if that makes sense. It doesn't. Stock prices don't matter in my long-term account. All that matters is that the dividends are reinvesting every month, so I can retire when my son graduates high school and smoke cigars and sit on my porch with my dogs. That coin trade, very good. Yep. Okay. So now you see it, Tesla Theta. I have some videos out there on the Trady Ticks channel, kind of going over some of my setups. Probably you can tell my hillbilly voice between Hater's voice. So if you start listening, mine are really short. I don't make a video usually over 5 or 6 minutes. So what other questions do we have? We have a few minutes left. Did I miss anything? I would really highly recommend everybody joining Vicky. There is not an alert for that. Not yet. Not yet. And here's a really good piece of advice. Something that I do pretty religiously is I try to stick with maybe a handful of tickers. 10 maybe tops, and I just keep those on my watch list and roll through them over and over and over again, keep their levels on my charts, update their Greeks, and I trade those things pretty religiously. How do you read forward price distribution? Is that rockers? That looks like your thing. So your price distribution is pretty simple. You just go through your days and then right? So we have a little bit of high probability of a move here, but then our tails kind of are pretty even. And this is really subjective. I want to point out this is super subjective information. It's how you particularly view it. So here, 5 days, there's a pretty good chance of a big dip. Oh, it is rockers. I can't believe I recognized your profile pic like that. We spent too much time together over the years, apparently. So reading it really is, I'm looking for a skew really one direction and a certain time period out to start thinking about how I might want to trade it. Okay? That's really what it comes down to. So Tesla doesn't look good over the next 10 days, but here's the deal. Check these throughout the week and see if these change, and then see if this changes any, is really what I would do. Okay. Non-alert yet, Vicky, but hopefully soon. So you want me to look at the sector rotation? You bet. Pretty simple. If it's dropping out, right? If it's dropping down, they're leaving that sector. If it's going up, they are entering that sector. They're buying there. So there is the sector rotation and sector flow options dashboard. Where is sector flow? Oh, same thing. This is showing you money leaving Zappa, money coming in. I don't really use these very often, as often as I used to. You know, there's some of these tools I relied on so much for a really long time, and Hater just keeps making better and better and better tools, and some of these things that were so clutch back in the day probably still are, and you almost forget how to use them a little bit because of the things that are new that are so phenomenal. I mean, these dealer Greeks have changed the way I view trading in the past month and a half, 2 months, and it's just given me a little bit of calm. Whale positioning timeline useful? It can be. What indicator do I use for price action? Only levels and RSI, Garcia. Does that answer your question, Suzapa? I know it's kind of a semi-okay answer there. I think and here's something that I can suggest. Slow it down a little bit and focus on 1 to 3 things in the platform before you start trying to focus on all the things. Because what will happen is if you focus on all of those things at once, you're going to get information overload, you're going to get trade paralysis, where it says, oh my gosh, I surely don't want to long a bank right now, even though dealer Greeks say it's rocking because it says financials leaving here, or it's got a bad dark pool somewhere, Yep. Question for a hater: is there any way to establish market dark pool data / ticker dark pool data in dealer Greeks? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to. He's not here. Generally, he lets me kind of run these. He shows up a little bit and says hi, and then goes to work. This question was to avoid that. Hey, that is a very good question to ask. Yep. So just focus on what you think, what's working for you. And I'll tell you something. I have tried darn near over a decade's worth of trading, everything that you've seen out there. And the more things I added, the worse I did. The more I focused on, the worse I did. And about 3 years ago, I laid out a pretty simple system, maybe 4 years ago, that I said, I'm going to stick with this and this only. And I have been profitable ever since. And there's some weeks I may only make a little bit of money. And there's some weeks I may double my account. It really depends. It really depends on the week and how I'm doing things. But I have been predominantly green now for quite a while by slimming it down. And I get better and better the more tools Trady gets, because each tool is another iteration of it. It's like stacking. It's like those little Russian dolls when you open up, another 1,000 come out. There's always one really amazing one, then a bunch of tails behind it that really help as well. So I guess that's a good thing there. Dark Pool Summary, do I use DP regions? I do not. I do not Tesla Theta. I literally use the bot ping for all of my dark pool needs, the TR DP level SPY. I hope that answered your question, Garcia. Just RSI. I get a little long-winded. We have 8 minutes. So unless everybody's done for the night, let's see how Futes are doing. Basin a little bit. And that's the thing. You know, if you're in the Discord talking like fudge in the MNF channel, reads dark pools like crazy. Right? So he's a really good person that kind of throws a lot of information out there on different things. I think there's some really strong people in there that read the information extremely well, and that's really good to see. And I do highly suggest, we can get a little rowdy, but we're way calmer than we used to be. Than we used to be. We have a lot of fun at the end of the day. We post some memes here and there. We tell a lot of jokes. We bicker back and forth about stupid things that are illogical during periods of consolidation. But I would suggest finding folks that are willing to answer your questions all day, and keep coming to these streams and asking questions. What does Tesla look like in trading 6 day? We already covered that one. Tesla Theta. You really like this stock. Answer me. Have you traded something else before? I just need to know. I just need to know. I need to know real bad if you ever traded anything besides Tesla. Nope. Hey, you know what? True story. When I took my first real big options loss on a trade by not following my rules, that's when I designed my system. But also I traded Nvidia only for like 6 straight months. Only Nvidia. That was it, long and short. Didn't matter the day, because I was so salty that I did something, that I made a mistake. Tesla, I'm gonna be honest, is starting to look, if these dealer Greeks keep going down, if they start building to the negative side, it's starting to look pretty nice for a potential long after a bit. Let's see what our top level is here. Sheesh, 209 would be a hell of a run. Maybe not yet. It's a no trade for me right now, Tesla Theta, until I see these Greeks change a little bit. But if these start dropping down, then I'm going to start, and we're still in this range right here. If they start dropping down and we're in that range, I'm gonna shift my mindset and start thinking, how far out do I need to go for a long potentially? Can I do a summary around my system? Suzap, I sure can. I think there's one short video on the Trady channel where I discuss how I use MNF in conjunction with the levels in RSI. It may only be about 5 to 7 minutes long, but that's definitely how I do it. And I can make another one too. Yep. I took a very massive bath once trading outside of my system, and I can attribute, I would say, 70% of every loss I've ever taken since I've created my system were because I did not follow my system religiously, and the other 30% was I was just wrong. It was a bad trade. So, and I think that's acceptable. Perfection is difficult. The MNF Discord is the Trady Ticks Discord, Tesla Theta. It's on the main Trady website. Just go to join. Let's see here. Which one is it? Right here. See where it says Trady Ticks Premium Members Chat Room. Talk to your fellow traders. Nope, that's not it. It's on the main page. Sorry. Yeah, you're in there. It's on the main page. Here it is, Discord. Okay. Yep. All right. Well, we have 3 minutes. I hope everybody had a good time tonight. If you missed a couple of things, this will be live up on the YouTube channel here in the next like 10 minutes to rewatch anything, go through any questions. I don't say we didn't have a whole lot of folks show up tonight, but that's all right. That's all right. If we help one person, then we've done a good job. Let me pull up my other browser real quick. I think I have the Trady YouTube open. Let me check and see if I can find it real quick. All right, before we go. So many clicks to get where I want to go. Share, copy. I'm almost there. Be patient with me. I think that's the one. There you go. Linked for you guys. MNF and Ghost Zones. All right, everybody, you have a good night. Remember how I always end things. Treat each other well. Be kind to each other. Try not to go on Twitter and troll a bunch of random people who are just having, just trying to have a good day. And at the very least, and as always, go get that Oprah money. So I'll see y'all in the channel and on Twitter this week. Much love. Thanks for showing up.